That's all our social media platforms.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So this depends on where you're watching from. If you are in Nigeria or if you are on GMT plus one, good evening to you. You're welcome back to another session of Ladies in Tech Africa Bootcamp. And we're going to be looking, we're still on SEO basically. We're still on the basics of SEO. And before I commence this session, I will just go over what we did in the last few days so we can just go over a quick recap. That way, the topic we will be looking at today, it will be a lot more easier for us to understand. So I'm going to share my screen right away so we can look at on page SEO. We just go over off-page SEO before we look at technical SEO. Like I said, these are the categories of SEO. So these are various aspects of SEO that you would need to optimize for in order to achieve a complete SEO optimization. So I will share my screen right away. Um, so this week we started with SEO, and like I said, SEO means search engine optimization, and it basically means processes and actions and activities that an individual takes in order for their website to rank on the first page of Google. So we look at what the definition of search engine is. I know by at this point you already know what the definition of search engine is. We looked at organic traffic, what organic traffic is and how it is different from paid form of traffic. And moving forward, we looked at the various characteristics of organic traffic, how you can easily identify organic traffic, and the long-term benefits of building an SEO strategy and its impact on traffic to your website. We also look at, why traffic is important. It is cost-effective, high intent, and it actually helps build your brand's credibility. We looked at how to improve your organic traffic, using creating relevant content, using the right form of keyword. We looked at on-page SEO. We haven't actually spoke about technical SEO, which is what we'll be looking at today. And we look at building backlinks, what backlinks are, and how you can basically build backlinks for your website. Moving forward, we spoke about crawling, how SEO works. In today's lesson, we're going to look in-depthly into crawling and indexing to see how search engine performs these activities and how it uses these activities to rank your pages on the internet. And like I said, we spoke about on-page SEO, which includes the things that you have to do on a website in order for that website to rank high on the search engine result pages, which is SERPs, search engine results pages, things that you have to do on your page in order for it to rank high. So those are the things we look at. And like I said earlier, on page SEO, as a business, you have everything to do with on-page SEO, and everything that has to do with on-page SEO, it's your responsibility. You have to do these things in order for your page to have a complete on-page SEO strategy. Now, we spoke about creating quality content. We also spoke about using the right title tags, ensuring that your keywords, which are words you want to rank for, depending on the content of that particular page, you need to ensure that it's on the title. That way, the search engine bot will be able to identify these keywords and have your web page rank for that keyword. We looked at what meta descriptions are and where you can find meta description on the search engine results pages and what it does. and how meta description helps to, it helps you to properly describe your page, where you can have other synonyms of your keyword, which is actually going to aid your page in ranking. And you can also use this opportunity to highlight different key points on your article or on your page, be that would be relatable to your audience. That way, they will be they would have the intent to actually click on your link and get to your website and see what you have to offer. We looked at URL structure. We're going to speak more on URL structure today, where we will be talking about the technical aspects of SEO. So moving forward, we spoke about keyword optimization, how you can incorporate keywords into your articles, how you can ensure you use synonyms, you use it sparingly, you do not do it too much, so that you do not get penalized. You do not get penalized, rather. So if this happens, if eventually are you are penalized for keyword stuffing, it's going to impact the traffic that is sent to your website. Now, search engine will no longer rank your website on the first page of Google, which is going to impact your organic traffic and it's going to tell on your sales as well. Now, we spoke about internal linking, and yesterday a lot of people were asking questions about internal linking. What is internal linking? What is backlink? I explained this yesterday. So internal linking basically means you are linking to various links on your website. So instead of linking to links that are out of your website, you are basically linking to another page on your website. Now, this could be when you are creating a blog post. Let's say you have relevant blog posts on your website that are related. So when you are currently working on a particular blog post, you can link to the other one. So let's say I am writing a blog post on what digital marketing is, and it gets to a point where I highlight SEO as a form of digital marketing, and I have a blog on SEO on my website. I can easily link it to that article. That way, when the reader gets to that point and the reader is confused about what SEO is, the reader can easily click on that link and that reader will be redirected to my blog, where that reader will gain a lot more insight on what SEO is and how it works in terms of helping businesses generate more traffic, which generally which leads to revenue. Now, we looked at image optimization. We spoke about how it's important to optimize the images on your website. We spoke about it, and how it's important that you do not use huge images so it doesn't impact the load time on your website. Now we're looking at page speed. Now we spoke about this as something that you have to look at on your on-page SEO strategy. So what this does, basically, you have to ensure that you have less scripts on your website. You can, if you have a lot of content, you can use a CDN, which is a content delivery network, to host this content on your website. Doing this would help reduce the amount of content on your server. That way, it helps your website to load a lot more faster. Search engine likes this. So once they check and they see all of these things are in place on your website, it's going to aid in your ranking process, and you notice that you now rank on the first page of Google, which is basically the goal of a lot of businesses. Now we spoke about mobile friendliness, the fact that a lot of businesses now, or a lot of people now, access the internet on mobile. So it's important that your website is mobile friendly. Once your website is mobile friendly, people can easily get to your website and they can easily engage with your content. They can easily spend time on your content because it is mobile friendly. Now, a lot of work has to be done for your website to be mobile friendly. So just imagine you have a website where your content is on a desktop screen, and you have to consolidate this content so it can fit into a mobile phone. So it's a lot of work. So that's why it's important that once you are building your website for desktop, you also need to consider other resolutions, which includes tablets, mobile phones. You also need to account for different screen sizes on mobile phones. So this is something that you need to ensure. As a business, you need to communicate to your developer to ensure that every screen size is captured and your website is mobile friendly. This is very important. Now, schema mockup. So it says this is a code added to your website to help search engine understand the context of your content. So yesterday I initiated the search, and you can see that from if you remember, for some websites we could see Google reviews, we could see a couple of information. Now, this is made possible by schema mockup, because it makes it possible for search engine to be able to display those extra content, which is going to aid search engine to add more context to your content. That way, it's easier for your visitors to consume and understand. Now we're looking at we look at why on-page SEO matters, because it improves the user experience. They get to spend time on the website. It's very boring when you get to a website, it takes a lot of time to load. Even if it loads, you see the elements overlap each other, you are trying to find the button. Now this is bad for usability. So on-page SEO basically it helps offer your readers a seamless experience on your website. So it's important. So it also has a direct impact on your ranking. And we spoke about a couple of tools. And like I said, for these tools, in future lessons, we are going to look at these tools, see how they work, and basically just walk you around these tools. And also, for some of the things I am speaking about right now, we are going to look at some practical ways in which these things can be done. Yeah, the summary. And yesterday I spoke about off-page SEO, which basically includes things that are partially or totally that are partially or not under your control as a business. So we spoke about things like social traffic, mentions, and whatnot. So we'll just go through it pretty fast, before we get to our actual topic for today. So we spoke about backlink. Yesterday, a couple of people were asking questions. What is backlink? What is different between backlink and internal linking? I explained this earlier. So I'll move to the next one. So we spoke about social signals, how it's important for brands to share quality content so they can attract social signals. We spoke about brand mentions, how search engine likes the fact that brands are mentioning your name on different parts on their website and on the internet. It helps to add to the credibility of your brand. And search engine basically care about the experience of the user. They want to ensure that the user has a good experience. So it's important for them to share results based on the quality of the website, because if you have a couple of brands mentioning your name on the internet, it just means that you are doing a great work and it's worthy of emulation. Up next, we're looking at influencer outreach and collaboration. We spoke about how it's important to reach out to influencers, to basically partner with them, and their influence would really be helpful for your brand, to help the brand gain more visibility. We spoke about local SEO, where I talked about Google My Business, where you can create a local listing, you can add your website to local listings, that would help your business to be displayed on local searches, because it's more tailored. And now that's the power of SEO. Now, SEO doesn't really give you a response that is not tailored to you. So if you are in a particular location, SEO is going to give you results that are within your vicinity. That way you can easily access this result and make meaning of it. So I won't be here in Nigeria or somewhere in Africa, and then let's say I'm looking for a gym, and it's going to show me a gym somewhere in the US, unless I specify. Then it's going to lead me to either some list of directories and whatnot. But if I am in a particular location and my map is well set up, it's going to display results that are within my local environment. So SEO basically helps with sharing tailored information to the user or to the person initiating the search. Now we spoke about the value of content marketing. How it's important to create good content so it can attract people. And we spoke about why off-page SEO matters, builds authority, improves your ranking, increases your visibility, and enhances trust and credibility as well. So we looked at these tools. We spoke about them. We're going to look at them moving forward and the summary. So at this point, I have run through the summary of what we did yesterday and the day before. Now, I hope basically, since if you have been in this lesson from the first day down to this point, hearing all of these things, you should be getting comfortable around SEO, basically. So having said that, if you look at this point where after we spoke about how search engine works, we are commonly talking about the categories, the SEO categories. Like I said, we have spoken about on-page SEO, off-page SEO. Today, we're going to be looking at technical SEO. Now, as the name implies, technical SEO, you're going to hear a couple of technical things. Basically, you're going to hear a couple of technical things, and I'll try to will not really go deep because you might not really get to understand the technicalities. I'll just try to explain everything so you just get the concept. Then over time, when we drive deep, you get to understand the implementation of these things. When you see them, how they work, and we're actually going to look at how these things can be implemented on a WordPress website. So let's take a look at what we have here. Okay. So I just want to make sure everything is set before I commence the lecture for today. Yeah, I believe everyone can see my screen. So without further ado, I will jump right into it. So now, today we're going to be looking at technical SEO. So technical SEO refers to the process of optimizing the infrastructure of a website to help search engines like Google, Bing, and others crawl and index your site more effectively. It involves making technical improvements to ensure that your website meets the technical requirements of search engines to achieve higher rankings. This includes enhancing the site speed, the structure, the security, mobile friendliness, and other elements that affect its performance in search engines. Now, this has to do with the technical part of search engines. So unlike the things that we have spoken about where the on-page things where you have to set this up. Now there's a technical aspect of SEO. Now we spoke about something called the bots, the spider bots. So these are basically bots that goes around websites, it crawls these pages to understand what these pages are all about. And once it has this information, when a user gets on the internet and initiates a search, now this bot, since they already have this information, it's easy for them to just pull out this information and have it displayed to the user. So we said something about crawl, and we're going to be looking at the key concepts of technical SEO. So first, let's look at crawlability. Okay, now the definition. Crawlability refers to the ability of search engine bots like Google bots to access the pages on your website and read the content. If search engines cannot crawl your site, they won't be able to index it, which means your website won't appear in search results. Now, if you get a job, over time, once you're done with this lesson, and you get a job on SEO. So when a website is first built, depending on the kind of website, if it's a website built with a CMS or if it's a custom form of website. So there are ways you can submit your website to Google so Google can crawl your website. So once you have your website set up, it's live, that doesn't mean Google can actually crawl your website. It doesn't mean people can search for your website on search engine and it's going to actually pop up. But if they use the direct URL, or if they get the link to your website and they initiate a search with that link, they'll get to your website. But if you haven't submitted your website to Google, then Google cannot crawl your website. They cannot index your website. And once they cannot do this, that means even if you have the best form of content, they will not be able to show this content to interested people who use the internet to find information. So it's important that the first thing you need to do is you submit your website to search engines. Now, there are different ways to do it depending on how your website is built. Now, for WordPress, which is what we'll be looking at, there are certain plugins you have to install. You need to set up certain things, and you complete some form of verification. Once all of these things are completed, your website will now be submitted to Google. That way, crawlability can be possible. Now, I said crawlability refers to the ability of search engine bots like Googlebot to access the pages on your website and read the content. Oops. If search engine cannot crawl your site, they won't be able to index it, which means your website won't appear in search results. So I just explained this. So it's important that you submit your website first. Now, that's the first thing to do. Now, let's look at the best practices. Now, create and maintain an accurate Robots.txt file to guide search engine bots on which page to crawl or avoid. Now, a Robots.txt file is in TXT format. So this file is a file that the search engine bots can read. Now, this is a bit technical, I know, but like I said, we're just going to look at the surface. Then moving forward, we'll dive deep into what a TXT file is and what Robots.txt file is. We're still going to look at this down the lesson. So create and maintain an accurate Robots.txt file to guide search engine bots on which page to crawl or avoid. Now we're going to look into this in depthly because for a website that has a lot of pages, and especially for huge websites, and not all of these pages, you might not really want search engine to crawl all these pages because that content is not really relevant. It's not ranking for any keyword. So why should it be crawled by search engine? So let's say you have a website and your website is in a couple of languages. You might have a Robot.txt file and indicate which pages search engine bots should crawl. Now use internal linking to help bots discover new content and understand the structure of your website. Now, internal linking, like you all know at this point, what internal linking is and how it works. Now, why it's a best practice to have internal linking is once search engine is actually crawling your website, they get to crawl through every single content, and which includes the link that you have on your website. So if it's an internal link, once they are crawling that page, they get to crawl that page and get to the other page that is linked to that page. So it helps to boost boost internal. Using internal linking to help bots discover new content. So basically, it helps bots discover new content. So check for crawls error using tools like Google Search Console and fix any issues. Now we will look at Google Search Console. So Google Search Console is a tool that helps you to it gives you data on your search results, keywords, and it just gives you a deep insight into how your website is performing on the internet, and if the search engine bot has crawled your website or not. So using the Search Console, you get to see all of this information. So two, we talked about indexability. Now, what is indexability? So indexability refers to the ability of a website pages to be stored and organized by search engines so that they can be shown in search results. Only pages that are indexed can rank in search results, making it essential that search engines can easily index your pages. Now, there are steps in which the search engine bot takes in order for your website to be able to actually pop up on search results. So first, search engine needs to be able to crawl your website, and that's the first step. So once they are able to crawl your website, they now index it. Indexing your website, basically the ability of a website page to be stored. So your website has to be crawled. Once the search engine bot understands the content of your website, it has to store and organize this content on search engines. That way, they already have this content in their archive, they know where it is. So when a user initiates a search on Google or any of the search engines, since they have crawled these pages, they have insights on the keywords and everything, they get to just display it from where it's actually started from their library. So your website needs to be crawled first before it's indexed, and once it's indexed, it makes it easy for search engines to render these pages and display it as and when necessary. Now, best practices, ensure important pages are not blocked by Robots.txt or no index tags. Use a clean and simple URL structure that is easy for search engines to read. Submit an XML sitemap to Google Search Console to help search engines find and index your pages. Now, let's take a look at the first best practice here. It says ensures important pages are not blocked by robots.txt file. I remember I spoke about this, just a few minutes ago, or what the robot.txt file is. And there's no index tag. It's a tag that you add to the head section. I think it's the head section of a page. Now, what this does is when search engine is scrolling and because they have to crawl from the head, get to see the title of the page, the content, and the meta description. So when the search engine bot gets to that page, because it has a no index tag, the search engine already knows that it doesn't need to track the content on this page, basically. It doesn't need to go through the content of this page and have it indexed because technically, you might not really show up regularly in search results because people might not be searching for that page. So if you use a clean and simple URL structure that's easy for search engines to read. Now, search engines read your URL structure. So if you have a URL structure that says how to make bread, so search engine already can read your URL. So when someone initiates a search with that specific keywords, it's easy for search engines to run through the list of links that they have, and once they find a link that's a match, they can easily render that link to the user. So now it says you should submit your sitemap to Google Search Console to help search engines find and index your pages. Now, there's something called a sitemap. It's in XML format. So submitting your sitemap, I think I have to check the meaning of XML. So for XML, it's actually an acronym. So you have to submit your XML sitemap to Google Search Console to help search engines find and index your pages. Remember, I spoke about Search Console. How you have to submit your URL or your domain, your website to Google Search Console, and they are actually going to provide you an XML file. You need to make sure that XML file is in your website. That way, Google can, from the XML file, get to crawl and index the pages on your website. Now, 3, we look at site architecture and structure. So what does this mean? It refers to the way your website is organized and how different pages are interconnected. The well-structured site makes it easier for search engines to crawl and understand your content. It also enhances user experience with using bounce rate. So site structure, so there are ways in which you can actually structure your website, which is, from the home page, you have these links well structured on your navigation. When someone gets to your home page, they can easily find other pages on your website, which includes your About Us page, your About Us page if you offer numerous services. So let's say you offer cleaning services. Under cleaning, you have other services you also offer on that cleaning. So let's say office cleaning, house cleaning, factory cleaning. So you really need to ensure that your site is properly structured. Okay, the navigation, the drop down menus, they are properly structured. Once you have all of these things structured, it's easier for search engines to be able to crawl your websites. Now, in that regard, let's take a look at the website with a lot of links, and let's see how they are able to structure their website. Where they have services, they have everything that has to do with the services on certain parts of their website. So search engine can basically understand the structure of that website. So let's take a look at, I believe we would get, so let's take a look at HubSpot. I made mention of HubSpot yesterday being a CRM tool and how it works. Now on HubSpot, you can see HubSpot has products, it has solutions, it has resources. You can see for this website, it has a lot of links. And basically for a huge website like this, they will basically get to submit, they will have a good site structure that shows, how their pages are structured, and that way search engine can easily, get to read and get to understand it. So when they get to products, they understand that these are the products that this business is offering. When they get to solutions, they see all the solutions they offer under marketing, content, startup and small businesses, sales and customer service. Now they can also look at the resources they have, the featured links. You can see the featured links, the community events and whatnot. So basically, how your website is structured actually matters. It's going to be odd where under resources, you're not having your product under resources, or you're having your product order, you're having your product under pricing. Now that's not the right way to actually structure your website. So ensuring that you have all of the links properly structured on your website is a good SEO. It's good for SEO, basically for technical SEO, because now search engine bots can easily understand your site structure, and where necessary, they have this page served to people who are looking for that page on the internet. So let's head over to we're talking about site architecture and structure. So like I said, it refers to the way your website is organized and how different pages are interconnected. A well-structured site makes it easier for search engines to crawl and understand your content. It also enhances user experience, reducing bounce rates. Best practice, use a logical hierarchy and organize content into categories and subcategories. Now, I spoke about this, making reference to HubSpot as a website. So you also need to ensure that every important page is no more than 3 clicks away from the home page. Implement breadcrumbs navigation to help users and search engine understand the structure of your website. Well, breadcrumbs, so let's look at the first example, or the first best practice, which says ensure every important page is no more than 3 clicks away from the home page. So important, what are the important pages on a website? So for a business, so let's take a look at HubSpot once more. For HubSpot, as a business that sells as a B2B business, business to business, that's what B2B means, that sells software solutions. Basically, if you look at their products, they have on this page here, we have Marketing Hub, Sales Hub, Service Hub, Operations Hub, Commerce Hub, and other solutions offered by HubSpot. And on that solutions here, we have marketing. Under marketing, you generate leads, you build pipelines, scale and support. Under content, create content, manage content, and whatnot. Now, there are also other links on this website, but then because this website sells yeah, it sells to B2B, and basically they offer their software solution to businesses. So it's important that these important links are easy to find on their homepage. So basically, search engine gets to understand what this business does, and if someone is searching for a software that offer this solution, search engine can easily recommend this solution to that business. So grow better with HubSpot. You see, it's a software that's powerful, not overpowering, seamlessly connects your data, teams, and customers on one AI powered customer platform that grows with your business. It's either you get a demo or you get a free trial. So let's head over to our notes. So I believe at this point you now understand what site architecture and structure is. Now implement breadcrumbs navigation to help users and search engines understand the site structure. Now breadcrumbs are you in this modern website, you don't really get to see breadcrumbs. But I'll try my best to explain what breadcrumbs is, and I recommend that you search the internet and get resources, and so you can get an idea of what breadcrumbs is. So let me examine this. I'll just try to see if I can explain it using this website. Now, what breadcrumbs is? Let me see if I can find the blog on this website. I think it should be on the footer or on the resources. Don't know. Let me try and open this on another page. Let me see if I can show you what breadcrumbs are. Don't know if this has to do with my internet connection, but so I'm going to switch here. Yeah, I think it's working now. So let's take a look at the blog on WordPress, on HubSpot rather. Now this is the blog. Now trying to explain what breadcrumbs are. Now, if you look at the header of this website, you're going to see the navigation where we have blogs, newsletter, videos, podcast, and resources. Yeah. So if I click on this blog and let's say I head down to marketing blog, yeah, to marketing. Now, if you notice, we have moved down this website. So from the home page, we went to blog, and on blog, we went to marketing. And under marketing, so let's take a look at this content, how to set crushable marketing goals according to HubSpot. Now, if you see, we have gone a couple of steps down the pages on this website. So first of all, from the home page, we went to blog, which is the second page we went to. Under blog, we went to marketing. Under marketing, we went to this blog, to this actual blog, which says how to set up cashable marketing goals according to HubSpot goals. Now, if you take a look at our flow now, we are moving at a certain sequence. Okay, so if you check now, we moved from the home page, which is the let's mark that as number one. The second page, which is the blog page, which is number two. Third, we went to marketing. Three, another marketing, we went to this blog, which is four. If you check, we have moved 4 steps down this website. Now, what a breadcrumb does, for website that still uses breadcrumb, it gets to show you the step that it took you to get to that page on the navigation. So ideally you would see, so let's say this is the home page, you see home here, you see blog, you see marketing, and under marketing, you're not going to see the link to this page that I'm on. So that's how, or that's, how breadcrumbs is. So it just, like the name implies, breadcrumbs, you get to see crumbs that's going to lead you to where the actual bread is, if that makes sense. So you get to see the crumbs, you have to follow the crumbs down to where you are on that page. So that's what breadcrumbs, that's what the breadcrumb is. So I hope you can hear me. Let me check just to be sure. Okay, yeah, I'm still live. You can hear me. I had to review my network, so I just wanted to be sure that you can hear me. So I'm going to share my screen once more so we can pick up from where I left off. So we're looking at site architecture, where we spoke about implementing breadcrumbs. Now let's take a look at URL structure, which is the number 4. So what is URL structure? So definition, this is the format and arrangement of URLs on your website. So you need to make sure that it is clean, your URL is descriptive, improve user experience, and help search engines understand the content of your pages. Now, what are the best practice for setting up a URL? Now, it says keep URL short, descriptive, and relevant to the content. Now, this is very important. Use hyphens to separate words in URL. Avoid using special characters or unnecessary parameters in URLs. Now, you make sure that your URL is short and descriptive and relevant to the content. Now, we have 3 things here. Ensure it is short, it is descriptive, and it's relevant to the content, because it makes sense where the search engine sees a certain header, and when the search engine gets into the actual page, they get to see that the title, which is the H1, it syncs with the actual URL and also the content, because it now shows that your URL structure is right. And it's going to be a mess where you have introduction to digital marketing, and when the search engine goes in, it's saying something about cleaning. Now this is wrong website structure. So you need to ensure that your website has the right site structure, connecting relevant pages together. Now let's take a look at page speed optimization. Now, ensuring that your web pages load quickly and efficiently. Now that's what page speed optimization is. We spoke about how important it is for the website to load very fast, and we spoke about frustrations where you have to be on a page and it takes forever for that website to load. It can be so frustrating and daunting. Even if you have a great network, it takes almost forever for it to load. Now it can be really, really daunting. To the user, which Google prioritizes user experience, because they want to make sure that their customers are satisfied, basically. So it's going to be really terrible when they get to a website and it's taking forever to load. Now, page speed is a critical ranking factor. Faster loading pages provide a better user experience and are favored by search engines. Now, just like what I said. Now, with internet connections of 5G, pages load really, really fast, super fast. So you need to ensure that your website is perfectly optimized, okay, for is actually perfectly optimized generally. That way, your pages can be served to users on the internet really fast. Now, let's take a look at best practices. So now, minimize HTTP requests by combining files, e.g., CSS and JavaScript. Now, this should be minimized. Now, HTTP means hypertext transfer protocol, so you need to minimize the requests by combining these files. So ideally, if you're building a website, there are quite a couple of files that you would need to use basically in order to get a website to function properly. We have JavaScript for interaction, we have CSS that gives your website that beautiful look, and then we have HTML that gives your website a structure. So these are all codes, and all of these codes actually come together to build up your website. Now, building website this modern days, there are ways where you can create CSS codes that are reusable. Okay, so you can create a single CSS file and it's reusable on other pages on your website. So that way, it helps you to minimize excess CSS code because you want to achieve certain form of design on your website, and then JavaScript as well. So when you minimize, how often your server has to request for these files anytime someone gets to your website and wants to access this page. Once you minimize the requests, this would also improve your site speed. Now use a content delivery network, a CDN, to serve content faster to global users. Now I spoke about a CDN. A CDN is a content delivery network. Now what a content delivery network does is they have super fast servers all around the world. So basically, if you are serving content, so let's say I want to serve content to a different continent entirely. Using a CDN, what that does is instead of serving that content directly from my server, which could be somewhere, let's say I use a Nigerian host, somewhere from Nigeria, or let's say somewhere in the US. Now, what a CDN would do is it's going to ensure that my content is served to that user from the nearest server. So that way, it loads a lot more faster. Now, it doesn't have to load directly from our website, which makes your website work faster. So if you have a lot of content, it's important that you use a CDN to deliver your content to your users around the globe. Now, optimize images and leverage browser caching to reduce load times. I think I spoke about this, how caching works. So if cache is enabled on your computer, once you access a certain page the first time, the browser will take time to load every single information on that website. But then since the browser has done this and it has cache, it's going to basically have some of this data on your cache. So whenever you want to load that website, it doesn't load it from scratch any longer. It doesn't load every single image, it doesn't load every single script. That way, your website is actually going to be fast because now now you only have to load certain content on your website and not the entire pages. Now it says optimize your images. We spoke about that. Now use tools like Google PageSpeed Insights or GT metrics to identify and fix speed issues. Now moving forward, there will be a dedicated time where we're going to look at all of these tools. We're going to look at all of these tools I spoke about, SEMrush, and we're going to get to see how these tools work and how you can conduct some SEO analysis, some SEO audit on some website, and you get to see, how these websites are performing on the internet. Now, let's talk about mobile friendliness. Now, I spoke about mobile friendliness, how it's important for your website to be mobile friendly, okay? So, ensuring that your website is mobile friendly is important. Doing this will ensure that your website can, it means search engine will be able to deliver your website to multiple users. Now, I think I will show you what mobile friendliness is before we're going to look at, the best practices. Now, let me end this and head over to Schema. Now, HubSpot. Let's take a look and see if HubSpot is mobile friendly. So, I'm going to inspect. Oops, this is not where I want to go to. So let's inspect this. Now, if you look at this point here, you see the dimension of this screen. So if I click on this, I'll see different screen sizes, okay? Now, these are different mobile sizes. So this here, you can use this to check how responsive your website is. So let's see how this website looks on iPhone SE. Now, this is how it looks. Now, you see how HubSpot has been able to consolidate its website to look this way on mobile. Now, let's see how it looks on Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now, you see it's a bit more smaller. Now, you see how this website is still able to adapt to, this size. Now, let's see how it looks on an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now, this is how it looks on an iPhone 14 Pro Max. So let's head over to the homepage and let's see how the homepage looks like. Now, this is so let's head over to the homepage and not just the blog. Let's see how it looks. Now, this is how it looks on homepage. Now we have a hamburger menu. We have all of the various pages. You see how mobile friendly this website is. It's still able to capture every single information that you can see on a very huge screen. So let me X out of this. You see how it went back to its actual size on desktop. Now, this is what mobile friendliness is. Because a lot of people access these websites on mobile, it's now important that you ensure that your website is mobile friendly, so that when people on mobile wants to access your website and all, they find it very, very easy to access your website, and they can basically see every information. Now, it's going to be really terrible where this image is so super big and it extends and you don't get to see this image that is here. Now, this text is super big, from how it looks initially. It's really going to bore the user. Like I said, search engine prioritize their users a lot because these are their customers. So they want to make sure that they are serving their customers perfectly well. So you can see there are quite a number of screen sizes. So you see now this is an iPad Pro. You see how it looks on an iPad Pro. Now, this is what mobile friendliness is. A website, that can be able to adapt to various screen sizes and basically show up regardless of the resolution. So I'm going to X out of this, and now this is HubSpot on desktop view. Now let's take a look at after mobile friendliness, let's go into best practices. So with majority of users accessing websites from mobile devices, search engines prioritize mobile-friendly websites in their rankings. Now, best practices: use responsive web design to adapt content to different screen sizes. I basically just spoke about it. Optimize images, fonts, and other elements for mobile. Now, if you take a look at that website on desktop, it looks really huge. You could see everything, and it's well suited for that screen size. So when it's on mobile, you need to make sure it's smaller, so it looks really nice and it fits the mobile display perfectly well. Now, use tools like Google's friendly mobile to test to evaluate and improve your site's mobile compatibility. So this is also one of the things I've pointed out that we're going to look at. Now, the next one is secure socket layer, which is SSL and HTTPS. Now, SSL simply means secure socket layer. Now, what this means is this is a security protocol that basically helps encrypt data on your website. So let's read through and then see what the definition is. Then I'll share more light on what SSL is and why it's really important. Now, definition: SSL is a security protocol that encrypts data between a user's browser and the server. HTTPS is the secure version of HTTP that uses SSL. Now, I said HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, now I'm going to show you what HTTPS is, and as a digital marketer who basically understands the internet, who has done SEO, you should be able to see a website and you can be able to identify if that website is legit website or not, because SSL is Google takes security seriously. Okay, it takes security seriously. So if you get to a website and it's not secured, Now, that's something that you should look at. You should be careful. You should not submit any personal information to that website because you might be handing that information to bad actors on the internet. So now Google consider HTTPS as a ranking factor and it helps protect user data, improving trust and security. Now it's easier for you to go into a place where you know it's secure than for you to go to somewhere where you know it's not secured. You have certain things to consider. You think about the security of your property, your life, and possibly other things. So that's why it's easier for you to go to a place that's well secured, where there are security men, where there are people. That way you are sure of your security. Now let's take a look at websites on the internet and let's see how we can identify if a website um, is secured and if it's great for us to trust that website. Now we'll use HubSpot as an example. Okay, so once I click on this dial, okay, so once you're on a browser on any website, what you just need to do is close to the URL, you see view site information. So this is at the top left corner of my MacBook. So you click on this and you see HubSpot.com. So this is the URL. You see secure connection, cookie and site data. So when you click on this, it tells you that connection is secure. Your information, for example, passwords or credit cards, is private when it is sent to the site. Here it shows that the certificate on this site is actually valid. So it shows the issue secured. And for some, the padlock icon will be broken. Or basically, you're going to see, based on how browsers are set up these days, you could see a warning sign somewhere close to the URL or close to the menu telling you that hey, you should be careful about this website, do not share any personal information, and you should just be wary basically. So this is how you know if a website is secure. Now let's take a look at other website as well. So when you get to a website, check if that website is secure. So that's one of the first things you check for. So once you click on this, you see that this website is secured as well, which is MailChimp. When you go to SEMrush, which is an SEO tool, okay, when you go to SEMrush, you also see that it is secured as well. So after this, after explaining this, we're going to go on a short break. When we return, we're going to continue with the next session. So I'm going to, just wrap up the explanation here for SSL. So let's take a look at best practices. Best practices here says install an SSL certificate on your website to enable HTTPS. Now, HTTP is a connection that's not secured. So S basically means that it is secure. So that's why you see site URL with HTTP colon / HTTPS colon / So that's how you know that a website is basically secured. Now, best practices: install an SSL certificate on your website to enable HTTPS. Redirect HTTP URL to their HTTPS version. Regularly check for mixed content issues where some resources like images may still be served over HTTP. So most times for some businesses, they basically get to build their website. Once it's completed, then they install the HTTPS or they install an SSL certificate. So once you do that, you need to ensure that all HTTP URLs are redirected to HTTPS URL, so that even if someone types HTTP, you automatically redirect to the secured URL. Now, this is important. So you need to make sure that this is done, so that even if all of your websites, or even if all the so that even if the pages were first built without an SSL certificate, once it's installed, it automatically redirects to it. Now, regularly check for mixed content issues where some resources like images may still be served over HTTP. So I see it's 8 p.m. So we're going to go on a short break, and when we return, I will continue from this sentence.
Have you ever wondered our social media platforms? Have you ever wondered all our social media platforms?
Hello guys, you're welcome back from that break. I hope you have taken your attendance. So without further ado, I'll jump right into the continuation of the lesson, and I will let you know when it's time to start asking your questions. And yeah, so let's jump right into it. So we're looking at HTTPS. Now is what we're looking at. Which basically means we're looking at secure socket layer, what it is and what it does. So regularly check for mixed content issues where some resources like images may still be served over HTTP. Now, this can be a common issue, especially when you build your website initially, without installing an SSL certificate where you have uploaded images and other files. And you need to actually check that these files are also hosted on a secure server, because this is important, because search engine gets to take a look at your entire website, which includes your images and other files. So it's important that every element on your website is hosted on a secured server. Now we're looking at canonical tags. Canonical tags, let's take a look at the definition of canonical tags. So it's an HTML element that help prevent duplicate content issues by specifying the canonical or preferred version of the web page. Now, search engines might get confused if there are multiple URLs with similar content. Canonical tag help consolidate link equity and avoid duplicate content penalties. Now, SEO, if there is something search engine hates, it's duplicate content. Search engine detest it, so they value original content. Now, it could get to a point whereby on a particular website, you have similar, or you have two pages with the same content. So it could be you have a page for a certain language, so let's say English, and you have another page for another language. So they basically have the same content. So using a canonical tag, you are telling search engine which of the page is your preferred page. So now search engine gets to know that this is the preferred page, and other ones should not be tracked, should not be crawled, rather, that these pages are, they're actually your page, but then this is the preferred page that the search engine should crawl. Now, like I said, search engine detests duplicate pages or duplicate form of content online. So if you are, or if you want to create a form of content, and instead of creating an original content, you went ahead to copy the content of another website, and you have it on your website. And if search engine crawls that website, search engine knows the first website on the internet that has that content. And if it's realized that your content is exactly, your website will be penalized, because that website is not because that content is not yours. So it also applies to your website. So it's important that if you have similar pages, you have canonical tags. That way search engines can decipher which page to crawl and which to avoid. So now use canonical tags to point to the main version of a page if you have similar or duplicate content. Now implement self-redirecting canonical tags on every page to clarify the preferred URL. So now if you have multiple pages, Now you can now add self-referencing canonical tags on all of these pages to clarify the preferred URL. Now this is how a canonical tag looks like. So it has this link, rel canonical href, which is the example.com, the preferred URL. So now this is so once you have this tag here with the preferred URL, now search engine understand this tag and they know what this, they understand that this is a canonical tag. So once you have similar pages, it's important that you have a canonical tag on each pages. That way search engine can determine which page it should crawl. Now let's take a look at structured data, which is a schema mockup. So what is the definition of this? So this is a code added to a web page to provide additional context to search engine about the content. Now, schema markup helps search engine understand your content better, often leading to rich results, e.g. star ratings, event information in search engine results pages, which can increase CTR, which is your click-through rate. Now, let's take a look at what structured data means and how schema markup basically works. So I will ensure, and let's head over to the internet. So remember yesterday when I searched for restaurants in, let's use Kubwa. Now, looking at this website here now, because we have the schema markup applied on these pages, that's why we are able to see this information, which is giving us detailed information about this website. It tells us that this is Iyabo's restaurant in Kubwa, African, and it has a 3.6. I think this should be the rating, and this is the opening time. It delivers now. It has a pickup, opening time. Now it's because of the schema markup. That's why we are able to see all this content here. It's because of the structured data. That's why we are able to see all of these things here, this image, because structured data, like it says, let's head back to the definition. So what is structured data? So this is a code added to a web page to provide additional context to search engines about the content. Now, all of this information that are displayed on the website, which includes the time, the ratings, and all, it's additional information to the entire web page, thereby helping the reader gain more context on what that page is all about. Now, it says schema markup helps search engines understand your content better, often leading to rich results, like star ratings, event information, and whatnot on the search engine results pages. Now, let's even dive deeper. Now, let's search for a product and let's see. Let's search for a washing machine or an air conditioner. Let's search for an air conditioner and then let's see the result we get. Now, because of structured data, that's why we are able to see all of this information pop. We're able to see, AC. If you want Nexus, it has the Nexus split air conditioner. It has the kit and whatever information you need. Here you get to know if this company here has 1 horsepower or 2 horsepower or 3 horsepower, and the type of AC they have. If you want to buy an inverter AC, so this is what structured data does. It helps user to see more information about the website or a product, which basically will aid their buying decision. Now let's look at, you can see all of this information. This is what structured data basically is. Now let's move along. Now it says best practice, use relevant schema data, e.g. product, recipe, event to mark up content. So let me share this. Now validate your structured data using Google's rich result test, regularly update and refine schema markup based on changes in content or SEO guidelines. Now, XML sitemap. Now, what is XML sitemap? XML sitemap is basically a file that lists all the important pages on your website and provides metadata about each page, e.g., when it was last updated. Now, XML sitemap helps search engines to find and crawl all your site pages, especially new or updated content. Now, I said XML. I think I actually looked that up. XML simply means extensible markup language. Okay, it's a markup language. It's more like it's a form of programming language. So this sitemap is actually embedded in an XML format. So once this is uploaded to your site, what it does is that it lists important pages on your website and metadata, when it's last updated, and basically, as it says, XML sitemap helps search engines to find and crawl all your site's pages, especially new or updated content. So that's what XML sitemap does. So once you update the content, it helps search engine to basically get that information and get it updated on its library. Now let's take a look at best practices. Now you have to create and regularly update an XML sitemap, submit the sitemap to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster 2. Now Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster 2. So just like Google has its own, it has its own system that manages websites website crawling. That's how Bing also has its webmaster tool. So you basically submit your website to all the webmaster tool if you want this search engines to crawl your website. Now ensure the sitemap is error-free and follows the correct format. Now let's take a look at the visual sitemap. So we have the home, the blog, and from the home you can find solutions, you can find the product, you can find resources, and you can log in. Now from blog, from the blog posts, from the latest blog here, you can find that on your blog rather, and from solutions you can see development, and under product you can find the product, get a tour, and basically start a free trial. Now this is just a visual representation of what the sitemap could look like, but like I said, sitemap is in XML format which can be understood by the search engine bot. Now, 404 error pages and redirections. Now, definition: a 404 error page, a 404 error occurs when a page is not found, while redirections guide users from an old URL to a new one. Now, this could happen. Probably you change the content that search engine has crawled already, and they already have this on their directory. Now, using a 404 error redirection is once probably you changed your URL for some reason, you got another domain. Now that would actually impact the look and feel of your exact URL. So if there are pages that are no longer in use on your website, using a 404 redirect will basically redirect that traffic to the new page, or basically give the user more insight on what happened to that page. Now, managing a 404 error and implementing proper redirects help maintain users' experience and link equity. Now, best practices: regularly check for 404 errors using tools like Google Search Console. So Google Search Console will give you an insight on the tools on the web pages on your website, okay, to show you if this web page is functional, if it's broken, if it's accessible. Now you get to see all of these things on your Google Search Console dashboard. Now, implement 301 redirects for moved or deleted pages to guide both users and search engines. Now, 301 redirect, it's it's a form of a code that helps you to redirect deleted or moved page to the new page, so on the website. So let's say you change the page and so on. So you can use 301 redirect to redirect the traffic that is coming to that page or that domain to the new page. That way, over time, search engine gets to understand that this page has been updated, and you can easily send traffic to that page. Customize 404 error pages to offer helpful navigation options for search or a search bar. So let's say someone is searching for certain information from your old website. You can have your 404 page properly customized, where you have a search icon where someone can easily get to the search icon, initiate the search, and it's going to take them to another page on your website. Now, the robot.txt file. If you remember, while we were talking about other of this, while we were looking at all of this technical SEO characteristics, we spoke about robot.txt file. We spoke about robot.txt file. Now, a TXT file, um, a text file located in the root directory of your website that provides instructions to search engine bots about which pages to crawl or ignore. So that's what the robots.txt file does. So if you have a couple of pages on your website, what it does is that it tells search engines which pages it should crawl and which pages it should ignore. So that way, for websites with really, really huge, with a lot of pages, they are allocated amount of pages that an SEO bot, the search engine bot can actually crawl on your website. So it's important that you have a robot.txt file. That way it excludes the pages that search engine shouldn't crawl because they are not relevant to the user, and crawl only pages that are relevant to the user. So what it does, it helps control how search engine assess certain parts of your website, conserving crawl budget, just like I said. Crawl budget, because there's a limited, there is a budget on, the number of pages that search engine can crawl on your website. So it's important that you control this, so you can crawl every single page on your website. Now, for best practices, use the robot.txt file to disallow crawling of non-essential or duplicate pages. Test the robot.txt file in Google Search Console to ensure it's correctly configured. Now, let's take a look at why technical SEO actually matters. So please gather up your questions. We should be wrapping up this session in no time. Please gather up your questions and get them ready so we can look at them. Now, why technical SEO matters? So one, it ensures search engine can crawl and index. With proper technical SEO, search engines might struggle to assess, understand, or index your content, which can prevent it from appearing in search results. Now, remember, at the start of this class, I spoke about how it's important for search engine to crawl and index your website. So first of all, you need to submit your website, your sitemap to search engine. That way you can crawl your website. If you do not do that, search engine cannot crawl your website. So technical SEO, so even if you complete your on-page SEO, which is majorly determined by your actions, and you are still able to get mentions. If your website is not submitted to Google and other search engines, they cannot possibly crawl your website. And if they cannot crawl it, even if people's initiate relevant searches where you have the right keywords, your website wouldn't rank because in the first place Google cannot see it. So it improves user experience. Faster, secure, and well-structured websites offer a better experience, leading to higher engagement, longer visit duration, and reduced bounce rate. Now, what is bounce rate? Bounce rate is a metric that shows how fast the user exits your website. So if a user gets to your website and exits your website without spending time on your website, it's a signal to search engine that probably they might not be serving the right content, because if they are serving the right content, the user shouldn't have leave that fast. So if this happens regularly, they have to review it, and which is not great for SEO. Now, it improves user experience. So faster, secure, and well-structured websites offer a better experience. Now, technical SEO, like we said, you have to implement SSL for it to be fast, optimize the size of files, images, and whatnot, so it's faster. Well-structured, where we spoke about the sitemap and the XML files. Now, all of these things adds up together. It helps to improve the user experience, because when the user gets to the website, it loads fast, it's secure. They know they can trust the brand, and all of these things are in place. So it maximizes search visibility. By addressing technical SEO aspects, you increase your chances of achieving higher rankings and better visibility in SERPs. Now, this means search engine results pages. You should basically know what this is. Now, let's look at tools for technical SEO. We have Google Search Console, identifies core error, indexing issues, and other technical problems. Screaming Frog SEO Spider, a powerful tool for auditing technical SEO issues such as broken links, duplicates, content, and meta tag issues. GT Metrics, they provide insights on page speed and performance optimization. Now, all of these tools I am mentioning, I think you have these notes. The teaching aids, I'm sure they have shared this note with you. You can basically beforehand make research about these tools so that when we are looking at it, it's a lot more familiar when we are looking at it together. Now, we also have the RF's site audits. I haven't still actually learned the actual pronunciation of this name. I'm really going to check it out. So it helps identify and fix technical issues like slow loading, HTTPS issues, and canonical problems. Now you should know what canonical tags is and canonical problems. Now, Lighthouse, this is Google's tools for auditing performance, accessibility, and SEO best practices. Now you can basically check out these tools, see how they work, and basically just play around these tools. You realize that you get to find out a couple of things before we look at it together in class. Now, in summary, technical SEO is the foundation of a successful SEO strategy. By optimizing your website's technical elements, you ensure that search engines can effectively crawl, index, and understand your content, which is crucial for achieving higher rankings and better visibility. Regularly auditing and refining these elements can help maintain optimal website performance and user experience. Now, at this point, we now have a decent insight on what technical SEO is and what it involves, and how it's crucial, you ensure that your technical SEO is in place in order for you to achieve success with SEO. Now, yesterday, a couple of people asked the question, do I need on-page SEO? Do I need off-page SEO? Do I need technical SEO in order to get SEO right? Well, the fact is you need all of these aspects of SEO to be covered in order for you to get Google to rank your website on the first page of Google. So it's very important that all of these things are in place. You shouldn't really say you want to focus on one and then you leave one. So it's important. I'm actually stating this now so you know that it's important for all of these things to be in place in order for your website to attain full SEO optimization, basically, so that you can rank on the first page of Google, because that's the goal. That's what you want when relevant keywords related to your website gets indexed, or there's a search for that query on the internet. So at this point, I'm just going to give a brief recap of what we did today. So when this lesson started, I spoke about basically, how this lesson started from on-page SEO to off-page SEO, and now we are talking about technical SEO. So basically, for you to get your SEO to work, you need to ensure that all of these aspects of SEO are in place for your website to rank well. So at this point, I am open to taking questions. Please, the teaching aid, questions can start coming in so I can respond to them. Yeah, don't worry, the notes will be shared to you guys. I'm going to share the notes to you guys. So before the week comes to an end, which would be tomorrow, you basically get it. Someone is asking, must we create a website before you can advertise your product or business? Well, not necessarily. You can advertise your product or business on Facebook. You can advertise it on using Google My Business. We spoke about local listing. You can advertise it on Instagram, and we can you can advertise on Instagram as well. Now, someone says I should explain canonical tags. We are actually going to look into canonical tags in details, but basically what I said about canonical tags are these are tags that are added to the head element of the HTML file or of the document. So because the website you see now, it has a head element. So let's take a look at yeah, so let's take a look at a typical website. So let me share my screen so you can see the head element. So this is HubSpot, yeah. So let's inspect HubSpot. Now this is the code. This is the code. As you see, as I move, you can see, if you look by my left-hand side, you're going to see that certain parts on this website is highlighted. Now, this is the head element. Now, these are a lot of links on the head elements. Now, a canonical link is a link that has to be added to the head elements of the website. Now, what this does is, so if you have a lot of pages, like I made an instance of websites that serves people in different countries, so they will certainly have the same form of content, but basically in different languages. And search engine bots they understand all of these languages, and when they read through it, they understand that all of these pages are the same. So when you add a canonical link to the head of that image, when search engine bot gets to that page, they understand that, okay, this page is affiliated to another page, and this is not the actual page. So search engine understands that canonical tag, and it's the canonical tag. It has a you can actually recognize it because it has the word rel canonical. So here it's alternate, but for canonical tags, you're going to see the word canonical there. So that's how you know that this page has a canonical tag, and it might actually be linking to another page, which is the page that you want search engine to crawl. So yeah, I hope with this you now have insight on what canonical tag is, and please, you can make more research about it. There are blog posts about it that would give you a lot of examples. With that, you would really get to gain more insight on what it is and how it works. Can you make technical changes to your blog if you have a free WordPress domain? I think you should be able to do this. So what you just okay, no, I think there are certain restrictions when it comes to using a free WordPress domain, because they are not. I'm not sure it's everything you can do. You only have full access to a domain that is a fully custom domain. So that's the kind of domain that you have full access to. But with this kind of domain, I doubt if you can really make a lot of technical changes to this kind of domains. So expect this kinds of domain. I think it has an extension of WordPress at the end. So yeah. Now, someone is asking, what is XML and what is the function? Now, I said XML simply stands for extensible markup language. So it's a programming language. And like I said, these are codes that you have to add to your website so that search engines can crawl and understand your page structure. So that's what XML is. So XML is, even if you open an XML code, it's not a form of code that you basically understand. So like I said, XML simply stands for extensible markup language. Someone is asking, is HubSpot only about article writing? Please go search about HubSpot. HubSpot is basically a CRM that does a lot of things actually. So yeah, so you can go and search about HubSpot. It's a marketing CRM that businesses use to manage their sales processes and pipeline. Is it only in SEO that you cannot do copy and paste? Or So for SEO, basically, so how the search engine works is plagiarism is a big deal for search engines, okay? Because the fact is, once your content is published on the internet, search engine gets to read it. So they know the first person who published this content. So if you go and copy that content and post it on your blog, and search engine gets to crawl your website, they know this content, they know this content because they have crawled this content before and they have indexed it. So basically, it's going to cause more harm to your website. So it's important you create only original form of content. How do we generate leads using LinkedIn? This is not for this course. Probably we can look at this some other time, but this is not for this course. We are talking about SEO. Yeah. How do I create a website? I spoke about this yesterday that there are different ways you can create a website. You can create a website from scratch if you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can use a content management system, which is a CMS, which includes WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, and a couple of other drag and drop builders. So these are ways you can create a website. Now, how do I perform a technical SEO audit? Now, that's something we're going to go into. For this lesson, what we're doing, I'm just introducing you into what technical SEO is. Now, if you look through this note should get to you before Sunday, so you can, get to see, or you can watch the replay towards the end where I listed a couple of tools that can be used for technical SEO audit. So these tools, once you get these tools, some are free, some are paid to a certain level. Now, what you just need to do basically is insert the URL into this tool. It's going to analyze this website and it's going to break down a couple of information about, what is wrong and, what is in place in regards to technical aspects of SEO. Blessing, if I have stopped sharing my screen, I've stopped sharing my screen. So I'm basically taking questions. So this is this is, so Temitope is asking if she needs to implement all the components of technical SEO. Well, yes, you need to implement it. So that's why we are talking about it. You need to capture every aspect of this technical aspect of SEO. So now it's just like saying that, do I need to fix every technical problem of a vehicle before it moves? You need to do that, for it to move and serve you efficiently. You need to fix every technical issue. Now, cars can move when it has a slight technical issue, probably something might be wrong with with your tires or certain components in your tire. It doesn't mean your car will not move, but then it won't move for long. It will certainly break down. So it's important you get it in good shape if you want to basically travel for a long trip. So it's important that you have everything in place, to ensure that you have your site ranking on the first page of Google. How do you create a website? Do we need the help of a web developer in creating a website? It depends actually. You can create a no code website where you do not need any form of code, but if you have insight on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, there are certain things you can do. You can go granular, you can make certain edits, and there are certain things you can do, but you can create a website without any knowledge of code. There are a lot of platforms that are making this possible. What if the content is mine, but I want it on 2 search engines and on my website? Okay, it seems you haven't really gotten the concept. As long as it's yours and you want it on 2 websites. Now, what you would need to do is you would basically have to link to that website using a no, now since it is your content now this is where the canonical link, the canonical link actually comes into place. Now it's telling search engine that this is the original source of this content. So that's why it's important for you to use a canonical link and specify to search engines so they can know, which is the actual content they should call. Olutola, I think I answered this question before we hopped into the question and answer session, where I told you that all the categories of SEO needs to be in place in order for you to achieve proper SEO setup. Yes, a landing page requires a domain and hosting if you are building a custom landing page, for your business. But then there are certain services that allows you to build a landing page, but then you might get to see their branding beneath, or you have to use an extension, a domain extension that bears their name. Uh, Now, someone is asking, how do you know your website is secured? I explained this earlier on how you can check if a website is secure. So I'm going to do this once more. So you just need to take a look at so if you are on, so assignments will be shared to you later on, but not on this class actually. I'm still working on that. Now, for you to know if a website is secured, what you need to do is to look at the URL bar. I actually explained this. I'm going to do this once more. So I'm sharing my entire screen right here. Now, if you are on, I believe you can see my screen right now. Now, this is a website that's look about HubSpot. What you need to do is you click on this icon here and you're going to see connection is secure. Now, this is how you know that a website is secure. So once you log into any website, basically you just need to click on this icon and it's going to tell you if this website is secured or not. Now, someone is asking, how do I optimize my website images for search engines? Now, we're going to look into that practically, but how you can do this is first ensure that the size of your image is very small. Now, it could be a problem when you want to reduce the size of your image and still maintain the quality. So there are certain tools that can help you basically reduce the size of your image and still maintain good quality, because if you want to get good image quality, it has to, especially for PNG images, it needs to have high resolution and pixels. So there are tools that can really help you compress your pictures and still ensure it's clear, and the size is actually really, really small, so it loads faster. And also you add an alt tag. So all of these things are things we'll be looking at actually. So when are we starting the practical classes? So for practical classes, so for next week, the next instructor will be taking the lesson for next week. So the next time I will be, so the next lesson or the next week I'll be taking, then we'll be looking at other aspect of SEO, where we'll be looking at keywords. Yeah, we're going to be looking at keywords, long tail keywords and short tail keywords. So these are some things we are going to be looking at. And when we get to that point, we're not going to, then we will now look at we are not going to look at the practical aspect, okay, of SEO. And we're also going to look at certain, we'll also talk about certain best practices in SEO where we have white hat SEO, black hat SEO, and gray hat SEO. Now, these are also SEO practices based on all of the things that we've learned. So we're also going to look at all of these things. Yeah, a landing page requires a domain and a hosting. It does, of course, it does. It does. It certainly does. Please, your questions should come in. I'm not seeing new questions. So what's the difference between schema markup and Joy? I shared my screen. I'll do it once more. Probably it didn't share completely, but I'll do it once more. Now, someone is asking, what's the difference between schema markup and meta description? So if you look through our various sessions, you see that I explained all of these things and it's very clear. But for this case, schema markup, like I said, it's a piece of code, that helps search engine to give more insights about a website on the search engine results pages. So that's what the schema markup does. Why meta description can be found on page SEO. Now, what meta description is, yeah, that's what I'm explaining, Junior. Now, what meta description is, meta description provides an avenue for you to better um, to share more insights on what your content is all about. So for meta description, you can add synonyms. You can just, create a brief description about what your page is all about. So if you look through all the notes, you will read it and you will certainly understand the differences. And please, it's important that you watch the replay of this video once more. It's really, really important because watching this basically would help you better understand this and also ensure that it sticks. So it's important. So Junior, I've answered your question. Yeah, of course, there'll be a practical class, but then it's just logical that we take things the right way. Okay, we should take things in order. So first, you need to understand some of these things before we go in. We look at it technically. Uh yeah, so there'll certainly be some form of practical classes. Now, someone is asking me to to share how they can see the website on different screen sizes. Please watch the replay of this video. You see it there, but I'll do it one more time. For anything I've done, please watch the replay of this video of this session. It's really going to be insightful. So I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I believe you can see my screen now. So for you to do that, you just need to, depending on what operating system you're using. For MacBook, you just need to you click on it with your double finger, and for Windows, you have to right click. So you click on View Page Source. No. Okay, you click on Inspect rather. You inspect the element. So once you inspect, you can now see the different screen sizes. And now someone asked about how to check if a website is secured with SSL. So you just need to click on this icon. Once you click on this icon, you see connection is secured. Now, if I head over to, yeah, let me look for another website. So let's take a look at Moz. Moz is an SEO tool. Now this is Moz SEO software. So this is Moz free SEO tool. Please take a look at this tool. You see Keyword Analyzer, Link Explorer. These are free tools. And here you can see some competitive research. Once you click on this icon, you see your connection is secure. Now, this is how you can tell if a website is secured. Yeah, Dori BC, someone asked, that's why I was actually showing, but then what's the difference between URL and HTTPS? Please, like I recommend, please go watch the preview of this video. It's really, really going to help you. It's really going to help you. Now, the difference between URL is it's an acronym for Universal Resource Locator, and a URL is a unique name, that can be used to identify certain businesses on the internet. Now, getting a URL alone doesn't mean that URL is secured. Now, HTTPS is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. Now, this is the protocol that basically it's a protocol that facilitates how your directory or the pages on your website are indexed. Okay, so it facilitates the transfer of information and data from your website to the internet, and it basically facilitates the transfer of data. So for HTTPS, what S means there, it actually means secured. It means that connection is secured. So the movement of data from your website, from the user to your website, it means it is secured. So that S there means it is secured. Without an S, it means that data transfer from the user to the server of that website is not secured. So that's basically the difference. Now, if you want to make your website secure, there is a technical process to it basically. So you need to ensure that SSL is secured, is installed on your website. Now, they have different SSL certificate and different issuers of SSL certificates actually. So now someone is asking, don't you delete the robot dot why don't you just delete the pages you do not want search engine to crawl? Now for WordPress, now one of the reasons why you do not delete them is because these pages are important to you. Now there are quite a couple of pages that makes up a website, and not all of these pages are accessible to the users. Now you do not want search engine to crawl this website. That's why you use the Robots.txt file to restrict crawling. Now, if you have worked with WordPress, you know that before you get into the actual WordPress environment, there's a login environment, and that is also a page in your website. So if you delete it, how do you now log into your WordPress environment? You cannot do that. So you just need to specify the pages that you want search engine to crawl, and yeah, search engine is going to crawl that page. Now I'm not sharing my screen. I'm done with the classes. I'm taking questions. Please let's send in our questions. If there are no questions, we'll walk towards wrapping up the lesson. All the questions I'm seeing here, I've provided answers to them. So if there are new questions, please bring them up. Please bring them up. If you have new questions, please bring them up. Waiting for your questions. So the notes will be shared. So before the end of tomorrow, this note will be shared across and an assignment. So you can get to you have a test where you can ascertain how much you have learned from this basic course on SEO, and yeah, with this test you basically ascertain your knowledge and how far you have grasped some of the concepts of SEO. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. No questions. Thank you very much, sir. I see there are no questions. So since there are no questions, I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I hope it was informative. I hope you learned a lot. I hope now you understand how the search engine works and and how how content are served on the internet. So you understand how the system and how content are served on the internet using keywords, using ensuring that these websites are properly optimized, authority, site, site presence, and whatnot. So these are all of the things that search engine gets to review before they are able to rank your website on the first page of Google. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're going to receive further messages from the teaching assistant.
Have you ever won our social media platform?